Tom and Andrew. What? Andrew, mate. Andrew, we've started.
We going? Are we going?
This is problematic. What? Can you please just say what you're doing? Because it's
right,
making me uncomfortable.
Tom, there's been a spoon in this studio for I don't know how long. Just a random spoon on its own, right? Nothing else. There's nothing else on this table. Just a single spoon. And I was waiting to come into the meeting room, in the Zoom meeting room, and I was like, do you know what? Let's see if we can do a Yuri Geller and see if we can bend the spoon.
It's the motion that's worrying me. It's the second time this morning I've woke up and I've been worried about a semi. Here is your Cultaholic Wrestling news. AEW are planning another exploding barbed wire deathmatch. We have a health update on Deathmatch legend Terry Funk, and a scrapped WWE Championship has been revealed. We'll get to that in a bit. You may have jumped onto Twitter today and seen a really unwanted piece of trash is trying to make itself relevant again. That's right, corduroy trousers. They were horrible first time round. We don't need them again. Also, in the wrestling world, there is some conversations, less so disgusting, about the return, potentially, of the barbed wire exploding deathmatch in AEW. So the story here comes from the Dan Le Batard show, which Tony Khan was a guest on. He gives us some details on what went down post the in the end of the deathmatch. There was supposed to be an almighty kaboom. Tony says, I was trying to be too safe and I let the professionals handle the stuff. They are guys who don't understand wrestling. They are professional pyrotechnic guys. They totally SH1T the bed. I ended up not paying them. It was like $100,000. They ended up refunding for all the expenses of the match. I ended up not paying for the barbed wire death match at all, which I shouldn't have. They royally screwed up. We put together something great. Kenny and John worked their bottoms off, and all they had to do was set up the final explosion. And then during the interview, he drops in at one point saying, the next time we do this, and I will do it again because the match drew.
Woo!
So
Woo!
Tony's up for doing another exploding barbed wire death match, and consequently planning another one for AEW. What do you reckon, Andrew?
Do you know what? The match was fantastic. Obviously, right up until the end, just a little dribble of sparkles that came out of the turnbuckles and everything like that, which was a shame. That was a shame, and that seemed to mar the quality of the match because it was a fantastic match. That's what everybody remembers from that. Just the ending of it, which is a shame. But yeah, I'm down for it. I think they pulled off the aesthetic of it. I thought it looked brutal, and I mean it was brutal. So yeah, if they do it properly next time, and we'll see what they get. Maybe some actual TNT sticks from Wile E. Coyote under the ring or something, just to blow everything up. Who knows what's going to happen?
See, this is it, isn't it? Because this time when they do it, they're gonna have to double down on it, aren't they? Mm-hmm. And I think it might be something. It might be something just wonderfully over the top, which it should have been in the first place, really.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm fine with it. It makes sense at this point to shift and talk about a deathmatch legend in Terry Funk. A lot of conversations about Funk since he was brought up on Don Morocco's podcast. Don Morocco revealed that Terry Funk is now living in an assisted living facility and dealing with dementia. PW Insider then confirmed that Terry has been dealing with issues for some time that have gotten progressively worse over the last year in the wake of the passing of his wife, Vicky. This has also been corroborated on Terry Funk's official Twitter account as well. And the one thing I've noticed from this, Andrew, is there is a sadness to it because he's one of the best of all time. But the stories that have come out of people sharing anecdotes about Terry Funk, there was no one else quite like him. Now, there was one that was shared in our group chat for work that if you've got the work chat in front of you, if you haven't, I've got it here. Don't you worry then, because
you're a good one.
I think this is an incredible Terry Funk anecdote. I don't know how familiar you are with the work of Terry Funk, sir, as a young'un, but as you know him, don't?
Of course. My sort of in with Terry Funk was ECW. When I was growing up, I was a big ECW fan, and I was like, how is this man who even back then looked like quite quite old as well back then, bless him. How is he doing all this stuff? Moonsaults, all this insane stuff, and managing to get up and continue with so much fight and so much passion. It genuinely blew me away. It blew me away.
Lewis House, who's one of our writers for Cultaholic.com, shared this story in our work chat. Terry Funk was a regular in FMW. One story Sekagawa loved to tell about this period of time was, after a match, when Funk was tired and thirsty, Funk grabbed Sekagawa's water bottle. The problem is, Sekagawa had kerosene in the bottle, which he used to help him blow fire. Funk guzzled it down and said, "Oh, this tastes like H1T." Sekagawa kept telling him over and over, "It's not water, that's for my fire gimmick." To which Terry just started screaming at him, No, I said it tastes like SH1T. So Funk just backstage necking kerosene. Just, if you search Terry Funk on Twitter, you will find a litany of amazing stories about one of wrestling's finest in Terry Funk, and we wish him and friends and loved ones nothing but the very best. Let's move over to potentially a future deathmatch legend, should she get a chance to do so. Maki Itoh. She was on a live stream, wasn't she, Andrew, chatting about her contract status with anybody.
Exactly, she was, yeah, and she said, Pro Wrestling Tees ranking, sales ranking, I'm number one. So I'm wondering, why not offer? I have many good fans, so I think soon I can be a star. I think so. So every pro wrestling company should offer Maki Itoh, but nothing. And every pro wrestling company should be offering Maki Itoh something, Tom, because she is a phenomenal presence in the ring. She's amazing. Her character's amazing. Her ring work is incredible and quite unique as well. I think people shouldn't be sleeping on her. They shouldn't be sleeping on her. They should be lapping her up like nobody's business.
She's just a force of nature. When she was part of the brief run she had with AEW, like there was the one where she came out she was singing for her entrance, but the match started, so they cut her music, but she carried on singing anyway. Didn't get involved in the match until she'd finished her song. Like, she's ace. And I get why she divides a lot of older wrestling fans. Like, a lot of fans of my generation don't like and or get what she's about.
Yeah,
and I get it, because if you're wrestling of a certain era, something like that kind of doesn't do much to suspend the disbelief. But
yeah.
Wrestling's nonsense.
Oh, even back then. What about Papa Shango and people like that? Come on now, come on now. It's just wrestling, and as you always say, Tom, wrestling is inherently daft. It is. It's just people fighting in their undies. That's what wrestling is at the end of the day. So just let people do what they want to do. Just let them enjoy themselves,
Enjoy wrestling. That's what it's all about. Enjoy wrestling. Wrestling of the finest sort could be taking place in the Breakout Tournament on NXT. Now, last year's tournament, everybody in that tournament has now got a place within either NXT or WWE, with the exception of ACH, who won the thing, and we kind of know what happened there. So there's a lot of optimism going into this particular tournament. Andrew, do you want to give us a rundown of who we can see in the Breakout Tournament? Because the brackets were announced yesterday on NXT's Great American Bash.
Of course, yeah. So we've got 8 participants, and the winner ends up getting a shot at whatever NXT title they choose to go after. So the 8 people in the tournament are: we've got Trey Baxter, who was formerly Blake Christian. He competed for GCW and Impact. We've got Carmelo Hayes, formerly Christian Casanova from Beyond Wrestling, Northeast Wrestling. We've got Andre Chase, who's formerly Harlem Bravado, from Evolve Wrestling. We've got Josh Briggs, who was the final Evolve champion. Eichmann Jiro, who is Jiro Eichmann Kurishiro, formerly Jiro Kurishiro from All Japan, DDT, and Wrestle One.
205 Live stuff has been amazing, by the way. Should you want to check him out on 205 Live? I like him.
So good. He's one of my favorites. And also the next one, Joe Gacy, 3-time GCW champion, former Evolve Tag Team champion as well. He's my personal fave to win this one, Tom. I'm excited. We've also got Odyssey Jones, who's a former college football player for Syracuse Orange. Orange. And finally, we've got Duke Hudson, who was Brendan Verk, who was also seen on Raw last year. And
Yeah, Vink was a part of Raw. It was going to be Brendan Vink. It was going to be Shane Thorne. It was going to be MVP. They were going to do a little thing together, a little bit of a dance together, and that ended up not being a thing that happened at all. So it's another roll of the dice for Brendan Vink. Now Duke Hudson. I think Odyssey Jones I have this image of Odyssey Jones just running through the tournament like a bulldozer. Me
too. Even in that little brief sort of thing where they were going through people on the ramp, he has charisma. That man, he barely said anything. He had a smile that just oozed charisma. It was beautiful.
There's an energy to Odyssey Jones that I very much like. Finalamos, some of those people who you may have seen on 205 Live, and we have talked extensively about how there's going to be more emphasis on the Cruiserweight division going forward, and in keeping with that, on the Instagram of former WWE wrestler Jack Gallagher, he's revealed what could potentially be, might have been, could still be another set of titles for WWE. Because I don't think we have enough. No. I think it needs to be at least 2 titles per wrestler at the moment. That's where we need to be going. The Cruiserweight Tag Team titles, which you can see on the screen here right now, apparently stored on a props truck since the first week of 205 Live and haven't been taken out of the props truck yet.
Yeah, this is a weird one, isn't it? Because I feel like WWE try and keep the cruiserweight stuff separate from all the other things. Like we get crossover, but we don't get too much crossover. So for there to be, I guess, in another division, for there to be another belt, it makes sense rather than just having everybody go after this one thing. But then at the same time, as you were saying, there is a lot of belts in WWE, and you don't want to you don't want to diminish anything. You don't want to make them not feel special. So, yeah.
I would like to see how it goes. If they did that, they've got to shrink some of the belts down. We need some belt shrinkage because there's a lot of belts and not many people to fight for them, and that is a big problem at the moment within WWE. Because it's a shame, because I would like to see a cruiserweight tag team title. I loved in 2001, back in my day, in 01 when they brought WCW had the cruiserweight tag titles, and I was like, oh, Kid Romeo and Eli Skipper, how are you doing? Oh, Filthy Animals, how are you doing? Oh, they've defunct now. That's because the cruiserweight division sort of tail end of WCW was had it carried on, it might have been a real standout in wrestling.
It was so good, wasn't it? Just the factions and everything. And hopefully we eventually get back to some sort of time like there was in WCW. Hopefully we get that in WWE eventually as well, because there's a lot of really talented cruiserweights and they deserve more time to shine.
Belt shrinkage is the word of the day. More news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. It's coming home.
Football.